The sky was dark. Thick clouds covered the sun. Wind blew through the trees, strong and cold. The man walked quickly through the forest. His name was Eli. He was an explorer alone on this mission, searching for plant samples and life signs on a new planet. He had not expected rain. Now, the storm had come fast. Rain started falling. Slow drops at first, then heavy. Thunder cracked above him. The ground turned to mud. Trees shook as lightning lit up the sky. Eli pulled his coat tight and looked around. He needed shelter. Fast. His boots slipped on the wet path as he searched. Then, in the distance, he saw a dark shape between the rocks. A cave? He said softly. He ran toward it. The rain hit harder now. Cold water ran down his neck. His hands were numb. When he reached the opening, he paused. The cave looked deep. It was quiet. Too quiet. But he had no choice. He stepped inside. The air inside was cool and damp. Drops of water fell from the roof of the cave. Eli turned on his small flashlight. The light cut through the darkness. The cave was wide at the front, but deeper inside it looked narrow and long. He moved slowly, listening to the sound of his own breath. Then he heard something else. A soft sound. A cough. A whimper. He stopped. Again, a small, weak noise. Like someone was crying. He raised the light. The beam shook slightly in his hand. There, in the corner, two shapes. His heart skipped. He stepped closer. Slowly. Carefully. Then he saw them clearly. A thin, gray-skinned creature, lying on the cold stone floor. Her arms wrapped tightly around something. A child. An alien child. Eli froze. His eyes widened. The mother was weak. Her skin looked dry and cracked. Her body was shaking. Her eyes were open, but full of fear. The child in her arms was small, no more than 5 years old in human terms. The child was breathing, but barely. Both looked sick, hungry, scared. They did not move. They just stared at him. Eli did not know what to do. His training had taught him to avoid danger, to stay away from unknown creatures. But these two, they didn't look dangerous. They looked broken. He lowered the light and slowly took off his backpack. The mother flinched. Eli paused, raised his hands slowly to show he meant no harm. I'm not here to hurt you, he said softly, though he knew they couldn't understand. He opened his bag, took out a small water bottle and some food. Slowly he placed it on the ground between them, then stepped back. The mother stared at him. Her eyes moved to the food. But she didn't move. Eli waited. Finally, the child reached out, took the water. The mother helped him drink. Then she took a few sips herself. Her hand shook. Eli watched in silence. A strange feeling grew in his chest. Sadness. And something more. After a few minutes, the mother looked at him again. This time her eyes were softer, tired, but no longer full of fear. Eli spoke again, slowly. What happened to you? No answer. He looked closer. There were cuts on her arms. Bruises. Burn marks. She had been hurt. Badly. Who had done this? Eli looked outside. The rain was still falling, but something felt wrong. He turned off his light to save battery. As his eyes adjusted, he noticed a mark on the cave wall. A strange symbol, drawn with something red. Blood? He stepped closer to examine it. Suddenly the child made a small sound. A warning. Eli turned. Outside the cave, something moved. A shadow. Then another. Shapes in the rain. Quiet. Watching. He stepped back quickly and turned on the light again. He looked at the mother. Her eyes were wide. She had seen them too. She pulled. The child close and shook her head. Her mouth moved, but no sound came. It was clear. She was begging him to stay quiet. Eli held his breath. The rain covered most sounds. But he could hear it now. Footsteps outside. Someone, or something, was out there. He moved closer to the mother and child, sat down beside. Slowly placed his finger to his lips. Shh, he whispered. I'll help you. He didn't know what he was doing. He didn't know who was out there. But he knew one thing. He could not leave them. The cave was silent again. Eli sat on the cold stone floor, heart beating fast. Rain still poured outside, but that wasn't what worried him now. The shadows, the footsteps, whatever was out there and not left. He turned his head slowly and looked at the alien. Mother beside him. Her arms were tightly wrapped around her child. She didn't blink. Her body was tense, like she was ready to run, but had nowhere to go. The child was awake now, small eyes watching Eli with a mix of fear and curiosity. Eli whispered, "They're looking for you, aren't they?" No answer. Just silence. He pulled his backpack close and checked inside. A half-empty water bottle, one protein bar, a heat blanket, a small med kit. Not much, not enough docking yet. He couldn't leave them. Flashback, a memory from Earth for a second. His mind slipped away. He remembered another storm long ago. Back on Earth. He was 12. A house fire, screams, smoke. He had survived. But his little sister hadn't. Since then, he had promised himself, if someone needed help, he would never run again. Back to the cave, Eli shook his head, returned to the present. He reached into his bag and slowly pulled out the heat blanket. He unfolded it and gently placed it beside the mother. She flinched again, her instincts sharp, like a wounded animal. But then she looked at the blanket, ... and then at him. He nodded ... She reached out slowly, with shaky hands, and pulled the blanket over her child. That tiny moment, that silent exchange, was the beginning of trust. New sound. Dangerous. Near suddenly, a sharp beep, beep, beep echoed from the far side of the cave. Eli turned fast. His wrist communicator was blinking. Motion. Detected outside. He turned off the screen quickly and crawled to the cave entrance. Carefully, he peeked out. 2 tall figures were standing in the rain, dressed in dark armor. Their helmets had red lights. They were scanning the ground, slowly walking toward the cave. Eli's breath caught in his throat. They weren't just searching ... They were hunting. A risky move. Eli crawled back inside. He looked at the mother. She was holding her child. Close again, her body shaking. Eli knew what he had to do. He pointed deeper into the cave. We need to go. Now. She looked at him, confused. He pointed again. Deeper. Safer. She hesitated. Eli opened his palm, showing the protein bar. Broke it in half. Gave a piece to her. She nodded slowly. Then, without a word, she stood up, legs weak, child in her arms, and followed him into the dark. The hidden path, they moved through a narrow tunnel inside the cave. The walls closed in. The air got colder. Eli led the way with his flashlight. Careful not to slip. Come on, he whispered. Just a little farther. After 10 minutes, they reached a hollow space, a secret pocket inside the cave. Just enough room for the 3 of them. They sat down. Breathing heavily, Eli turned off the light. Darkness swallowed them, but they were alive. Moment of peace. Eli gave the child a few drops of water. The child drank and reached out, tiny fingers touching Eli's coat. Eli smiled for the first time. He looked at the mother. Her eyes were soft now, still tired, still hurt, but thankful. She placed her hand over her heart, then touched his chest. A sign of gratitude? Eli nodded. You're welcome. The final decision, his wrist communicator buzzed again. A message from his ship AI. Warning, local authorities scanning area. Foreign life forms detected. Return to base. He stared at the message. Go back. Or stay. He looked at the mother. And child. If he left now, they would be found, captured. Or worse. He turned off the device. Completely. His voice was quiet but clear. I'm not leaving. The decision was made. Final scene. Suspense builds far above the cave. A small drone hovered in the rain. Its red eye blinked as it scanned the forest. Then it beeped. Target detected. A signal was sent into the sky. Far away, a ship began to move. It started with a sound. Not thunder. Not footsteps. A high-pitched mechanical whine, like a camera lens zooming in. Or a machine breathing. Eli opened his eyes. They had been asleep for only an hour, hidden in the back chamber of the cave. The rain outside had stopped. The air was heavy. Too quiet? Then he heard it again. Oh, our dash clicked. He sat up. The alien mother was already awake. She was holding the child tightly, her body shaking. Her large black eyes were staring into the dark passage they had come from. Eli grabbed his flashlight, but didn't turn it on. He listened. Click. We're closer now. Ben. Got. A low robotic voice, speaking in a language he didn't understand. They had been found. The eyes in the dark, eh? Red light flicked through the tunnel like a ghostly firefly. Eli pressed himself against the wall. Then he saw it. A drone, metal, floating, spinning slowly. It scanned the floor, the walls, the air. It stopped at the small footprints left behind. It beeped once. Then it backed away into the tunnel. Gone. For now. The time to run. They're coming. Eli whispered. The mother nodded. She stood quickly, still holding the child, though her legs trembled. Eli led the way. There was a second exit. He had seen it marked on his scanner earlier, but it was deeper through twisting stone paths, and the hunters were faster. They moved quickly, but carefully. One wrong sound, one slipped stone, and the enemy would be on them. Every breath was loud. Every heartbeat felt like a drum. First encounter, halfway through the tunnel, a figure dropped from above. Tall, armored, silent. One of the hunters. Eli froze. The mother gasped. The child screamed. A sharp, high-pitched sound, like a broken radio. Signal. The hunter turned, raised its weapon. Then, suddenly, the cave shook. A burst of light, blue, bright, hot, exploded from the child's hands. The hunter flew back, hit the wall, dropped motionless. The tunnel was filled with silence. Eli looked at the child, stunned. The child had fainted in his mother's arms. What was that? He whispered. The mother didn't answer. Her face was pale, eyes wide with fear, but not fear of the hunter, fear of the power her child had just shown. Running with secrets. They didn't stop. Eli carried the child now. The mother limped beside him. They passed through winding tunnels, water dripping from the ceiling, strange plants glowing faintly on the walls. Behind them, voices, footsteps, machines. Closer. Eli's lungs burned. His legs ached. But he didn't stop. The drop. They reached a ledge, a drop of 10 feet. The exit was just below. Sunlight. Trees. Freedom. Eli jumped down first, holding the child carefully. He landed hard, rolled, but kept the child safe. He looked up. Jump, he said. The mother stared down, afraid. A sound behind her. The hunters were coming. Eli reached up. Trust me. She jumped. He caught her, barely. They hit the ground together and ran into the forest. A new threat. The sky was bright now. The storm had passed. Birds, Sehi, IRPED. But peace didn't last long. Above the trees. A black ship floated in, silent, deadly. It dropped metal pods into the forest. More drones. More hunters. Eli ran faster, pushing through the trees. The child was still unconscious. The mother bleeding. They couldn't run much longer. An unexpected signal. Suddenly, Eli's communicator lit up. A signal, but not from his ship. It was a hidden message, human code. Shelter 4B active. Coordinates locked. Hurry. Someone was out there. Someone friendly. Was it a trap? He had to decide, keep hiding in the forest, or go toward the signal. He looked at the mother. She was barely standing. They needed help. He turned. This way. Cliff-handing. A familiar symbol. They reached a clearing. A small metal hatch in the ground. Shelter 4B. Eli opened it. A ladder led down into the dark. He helped the mother and child in first, then followed, closing the hatch behind. Them. Inside. Lights turned on automatically, old, flickering. On the wall, a symbol was painted. Eli stared at it. It was the same red symbol he had seen in the cave, but this one had something else. A handprint. His handprint. From a past mission. From a time he didn't remember. The metal door shut behind them with a deep clang. Silence followed. Eli stood in the middle of the old shelter, the mother and child close behind him. The air smelled of dust, oil, and something older, something that didn't belong. Dim lights flickered on above. The walls were made of thick steel, rusted with time. Strange drawings covered them, not just one symbol, but many. Circles, arrows, handprints, and all around them, words in human script, his language, but the one that stopped him cold was the handprint, his own. He stepped closer. Put his hand over it. It fit perfectly, but he had never been here before, had he? Buried memories. The mother sat down, holding the child. The child was still weak, but breathing better. His small hands sparked with blue energy in his sleep, uncontrolled, like dreams leaking into the air. Eli's eyes moved from the wall, too. The room's center, a broken console, half-dash, lit. He pressed a button. A distorted voice played from hidden speakers. Shelter 4B active. Log 327. Project recall in final stage. Subject 9 showed full sync with energy host. Eli frowned. Subject 9? He clicked another button. De-enter match confirmed. Subject 9. Eli Reyes. His stomach dropped. That's me. The mother reacts. The alien mother looked up sharply when she heard the name Reyes. She said a word Eli didn't understand, but her tone had changed. Not fear. Not thanks. Recognition. Like she knew that name. She slowly stood and stepped toward the console. Her finger pointed at the symbol on the wall. She tapped it twice. Then she pointed at the child. Then at Eli. Eli shook his head. What are you trying to say? But deep inside, a thought whispered. You've been part of this. Before the truth beneath, he searched the shelter. Found an old journal. Pages torn, smudged with time. He read slowly, flipping through shaky handwriting. They said the child wasn't a weapon. They were wrong. We took the mother from her home. She never forgave us. Subject. 9 bonded too deeply. Had to erase him. Memory wipe completed. He won't remember anything. Eli dropped the book. His hands were shaking. I worked here, he said, voice barely a whisper. I helped take them. He looked at the mother again. She wasn't moving, just staring at him. Not with anger. With pain. The child awakened suddenly. A burst of light. The child's eyes opened. Glowing. He stood up slowly, no longer weak. He stepped toward Eli. Blue energy circled his hands. Rising like smoke. Eli froze. The child reached out, touched Eli's chest. In that instant, Eli saw everything. Memory is not his, yet familiar. To capture. The testing. The fear in the mother's eyes. The child's screams. The lab. The escape. And then one image that broke him. Himself, holding the child. Smiling, like a father. Everything. Changes. The light faded. Eli dropped to his knees. I knew you. He looked up at the mother. I helped you escape. Didn't I? She nodded. Sudden alarm. Not alone siren blared through the shelter. Motion detected. Entrance breached. Eli ran to the console. A camera showed outside. 3 black armored soldiers. Entering. Guns raised. They had found them. No more running. The choice Eli looked at the mother and child. He could surrender and let them live. Maybe. Or fight. And maybe none of them would survive. Then the child stepped forward again. He wasn't afraid. His small voice spoke, for the first time, not in words, but inside Eli's head. You are the key. Again. Then the walls of the shelter began to glow. The console powered up fully. Something deep below the floor began to rise. A hidden machine. Long asleep. A gateway. Cliffhanger ending. Eli turned to the mother. What is this? Her voice finally came, broken, soft, but clear. Your way back. Back to where? She looked at him. To who you were before you became human. Eli stood in silence, staring at the machine rising from beneath the shelter floor. It wasn't just a machine. It was alive, humming with energy, glowing with strange light, responding to his presence like it had been waiting for him. Alien mother stood behind him, her child gripping her hand. And Eli felt nothing like himself anymore. Not human. Not alien. Something else. The vision returns without warning. The light from the machine reached out, a beam of energy wrapping around. Eli's arm like a vine of electricity. His eyes turned white dot and then visions. Faster, clearer. A lab. A table. Himself. Surrounded by humans and aliens in lab suits. Monitors. Wires. He's syncing with the hybrid core. A voice said. Eli remembered now. He wasn't born Eli. He was made. A human shell. Hiding something ancient. Something powerful. He had been part of an experiment. Part human, part alien. And something more. A bridge between species. The child's purpose, the vision shifted again. He saw the mother locked in a cell. And the child, born during the experiments. Born with energy in his blood. Energy that could heal or destroy. The humans had feared it. They had planned to take the child, erase the mother, and reprogram Eli to forget everything. And they did until now. Back in the shelter, the light vanished. Eli collapsed to his knees, breathing hard. The mother knelt beside him. She touched his shoulder. You remember, she said softly, in broken English. The first time she had spoken his language. He nodded. I was one of them. She shook her head. No, you were the only one who wanted peace. You helped us escape. He looked at the child. I'm his protector. You still are. A new threat. The floor above shook. The boom. The hunters had breached the shelter's upper level. The computer voice came alive. Alert. Unauthorized entry. Internal defenses offline. Eli stood. We don't have much time. He looked at the child. Can you do it again? The power? The child shook his head slowly. Only when scared. Eli swallowed. Then we protect him, no matter what. The hidden file. Before leaving, Eli rushed to the console. One last file blinked. Classified. Project Genesis open only with subject DNA. 09X8. He pressed his hand. The screen lit up. A face appeared, an older scientist, human, tired eyes. If you've seen this, you've broken the memory lock. You were part of something bigger than war. You were the first attempt at unity. But the council wanted weapons, not peace. The child is the final key. He can reshape how we live, how we fight, how we heal. Protect him. Even from us. The message ended. The big decision. Eli looked at the machine. The gateway. He realized something. It didn't just lead away from here, it led back. Back to the place where this all began. The original facility, the other hybrids. The truth. Can it take us there? He asked. The mother nodded. Yes, but only with you. Why? Because the door opens for its creator. Eli stepped closer to the child. I'm not just your protector, am I? The mother whispered. You're his origin. The cliffhanger twist suddenly crashed. The wall behind them exploded. Hunters stormed in. Fast. Armed, red lights glowing. Eli turned. The child screamed, his eyes flaring bright. But this time, Eli's hands began to glow too. Blue light burst from his chest, meeting the child's energy in midair. They combined perfectly. A wave of light knocked the hunters back like leaves in the wind. Then silence. Smoke cleared. Eli turned toward the gateway. Let's finish what we started. The gateway opened with a sound like thunder being whispered. Blue rings of light spun in the air, pulling shadows inward like a reverse storm. Eli stood at the edge, the child in his arms. The mother close behind. Behind them, smoke filled the broken shelter. The hunters weren't getting up. But others would come. The mother looked at Eli. Her voice was calm. Certain. Once we go through, there's no return. Eli nodded. I don't think we were meant to return. Then, without another word, he stepped into the light. A place time forgot. The world on the other side was silent. No wind. No sky. Just runs. They stood in a wide chamber, walls curved like a dome, metal and stone fused together by something ancient. Cracked glass panels above showed a black sky. This was the original lab, the birthplace of the child, and the deathbed of a dream. The air was thick with dust. Machines sat dead, rusted and torn apart. Symbols carved into the walls looked part alien, part human, like two languages forced to live together. The child looked around and whispered one word in Eli's mind: home. The memory echoed as they moved deeper into the ruins. Lights blinked on, not from electricity, but from memory, wherever Eli stepped. Machines responded. Old projectors lit up, showing ghostly images, scenes from the past, recorded by the walls. Showed Eli himself, years ago, speaking to a room full of scientists. We're not building weapons. We're building connection. Another showed him cradling the alien child, singing a lullaby in a language not of Earth. The mother watched silently. A tear slid down her cheek. You were good, she said. Eli wasn't so sure anymore. New threat. The echo beast as they explored. Something shifted in the air. A deep hum. A growl. Not mechanical. Living. The child stopped walking. His eyes wide. Eli turned. A figure emerged from the shadows. Tall, twisted, and wrong. Once human. Now not. A creature fused with metal, wires crawling through its skin. It wore a broken scientist badge, but its face was a horror of half-machine rage. The mother whispered, the echo beast, a failed hybrid. It guards the lab. It screamed. Then it ran at them. The escape turns to survival. Eli grabbed the child and ran. The mother threw up her arm. A shield of energy flared from her skin. The beast slammed into it. Roaring. The walls trembled. Glass cracked. A support beam fell behind them. They rushed through twisted corridors, labs with shattered tubes, broken syringes, dried blood on the walls. The child cried. His power sparked uncontrollably, lighting the hallways like lightning flashes. Eli kicked down. A sealed door. Inside, an elevator shaft. No power. He cursed. The mother reached forward. Her hand glowed, and the lift began to move. Just for a second. Enough. They jumped. Buried truth. The elevator dropped into darkness. It stopped with a crash. They stumbled into the final room, a sealed vault. Inside. Rows of stasis pods. Hundreds. Each one held a sleeping hybrid. Some looked human. Some did not. But all wore one mark. The same red symbol from the cave. Eli stared. We weren't the first, he whispered. We were just the first to escape. The child walked to one of the pods, touched the glass. The being inside opened its eyes. Final scene. The last message a voice echoed through the vault. Not human. Not alien. Both. Or come back. Subject 0. Eli froze. That's not my code, he said. The voice answered. No, it's his. The child turned. And for the first time, smiled. The child smiled. But it wasn't just a child's smile. It was older, wiser, like something deep. Inside had finally woken up. The voice from the vault spoke again. Subject 0 has returned. Begin phase reactivation. Eli stepped back. No. He whispered. What does that mean? What is he? The mother placed her hand on Eli's arm. Her voice was quiet, painful. He's not our future. He's our restart. The real plan. The stasis pods around them began to glow, lights pulsing like heartbeats. One by one, the hybrids inside opened their eyes. A soft hum filled the chamber. Machines woke after decades of sleep. This lab was never meant to be a prison, the voice said. It was a seed, planted in case your kind failed. Eli stared at the child. You're a reset. The child looked up at him. No, I'm a chance. You are the choice. The temptation. Suddenly, the vault's far wall opened, revealing a control chamber, a smooth white room filled with strange tech. In the center, a glowing chair, a voice inside Eli's head now. Calm, deep. Take the seat. Sync with the source. Rewrite the rules. Eli felt the pull. His hands trembled. His body felt light, charged. You can end war and pain and fear. One thought. And peace. The child walked toward the chair. The mother tried to stop him. Please, don't, she said. But the child only looked back once, then said something Eli didn't expect. This power was never meant for me alone. It needs both of us. Eli froze. The last enemy. The floor shook. From a sidewall. The echo beast returned, but different now. Larger. Its body had absorbed energy from the lab. A fusion of tech, rage, and pain. It roared. Not to attack, but to take the chair. The lab systems screamed. Danger. Rogue hybrid attempting source control. If the beast took the chair, everything would be lost. Eli looked at the child. Trust me? The child nodded. They joined hands, and the energy returned, not as a weapon, but as light. The final stand, the beast charged. Eli and the child raised their hands together. A wave of pure memory, love, grief, hope exploded from their bodies. The beast was hit midair, frozen in the light. It tried to fight back, but the power they shared wasn't just strength. It was understanding. And that. The beast had none. It shattered. Gone. The ending decision silence again. The source. Chair was still glowing, waiting. The child stepped back. You were made to guide, not control. Eli looked at the chair, then at the stasis pods. He finally understood. It wasn't about being powerful. It was about making sure no. One had to be. He walked past the chair, pressed one button. Self-destruct. Vault sequence. 10 minutes. The voice warned him. Are you sure? Eli nodded. We don't need gods. We need choices. The final escape alarms rang. The mother, child, and Eli ran through collapsing halls. Lights burst. Pods exploded. The lab began to die. At the last second. They reached a side gate. Not a portal, but a tunnel leading up into a forest. They emerged into the sunlight. Alive. 1 year later. Epilogue. On a green planet far away. A small village. Stood. Children played under purple trees. In a distance. The alien mother cooked near a fire, and Eli sat beside the child, now older, smiling. No war. No labs, no hunters. Just peace. A new life. Chosen, not forced.